If you've been on acid reflux medication, has anyone ever told you the knock-on impact that could be having on your testosterone levels? Acid reflux is very, very common. In fact, within my clinic, I see multiple cases of people that have got acid reflux or have had acid reflux recently over and over again. Every single week, people talking about it on social media, people just messaging me, people that have been clients in the past coming back to me. But reflux is super, super common, but it's not normal. As I always say, just because something is common, it does not make it normal. And millions of people are being prescribed medications to lower your stomach acid. Things like proton pump inhibitors like lansoprazole or omeprazole, H2 blockers, famotidine. These are things that aren't necessarily used as much. I see PPIs being prescribed more and more, and even people just taking over-the-counter heartburn medication like Rene and Gaviscon. But many people are taking these medications, but they're not necessarily aware of the knock-on impact of having these medications. Even in the short term, reflux is super common. Super common, as I've said. And why is this? Well, the modern life that we live in is super stressed. And the more stressed we get on our body, the more different feedback loops get overcomplicated to say we need to switch certain things on, turn certain things off, more of something, less of something, and so forth. So that stress, from physical stress, emotional stress, environment stress from toxins and everything in the air, in the food, in the places that we live, all that has an impact. We then have things like rushed meals. We have a lot of late night eating. We have alcohol, which has been normalized, high levels of caffeine, high stress from high levels of exercise, where people are doing high rocks, CrossFit, smashing it in the gym and bodybuilding, doing marathons, ultra marathons, and all these different things. People doing no exercise. But what actually happens is food gets fermented. So basically, food can't be digested. Now, what happens there is that then produces gas, which creates a pressure against your lower esophageal sphincter. It gets irritated and inflamed, and that opens, allowing acid to escape. I describe it, if we live in a 120-year-old house, some of the doorways are a little bit warped. And as a result, when that wood goes in the hole and the door, there's a little bit of a draft. That's what happens with your lower esophageal sphincter. As a result, as I've said, acid then comes up. It's basically because we have low stomach acid. The misconception is right there. Doctors are prescribing medication for high stomach acid for an actual cause of low stomach acid in 99.99% of the cases. Chances are you are not that 0.1%. So that's where we need to work on it. It's actually low stomach acid, it's poor gastric motility and poor levels of digestion, not high stomach acid. And the medications we get prescribed, your PPIs, as I said, like omeprazole and lansoprazole, they are going to block the proton pumps that produce stomach acid, hydrochloric acid, from doing its job. H2 blockers are going to reduce your acid secretion by blocking the histamine signals. And a whole nother conversation if you're constantly having allergies and using antihistamines all the time, or using antihistamines for sleep. I'll have to do another video on that specific topic. Now, antacids like Gaviscon and Rene are going to neutralize your stomach acid, your existing acid. So it's not going to be doing the work it needs to do. These may stop you getting reflux in theory, but they do not address the root cause, which we need to work on. So what is actually meant to happen? When you start thinking about food, there's a process that happens in your brain. Make sure you get this right. Mastication. Now, when you chew food, in fact, describing mastication is like when we think of Homer Simpson with a donut. You're going to be similar age to me, so you're going to remember The Simpsons. Growing up as a kid, this donut is there and this Homer is like, donuts, and salivating. That is the mastication happening, producing saliva in your mouth with enzymes. Then we have this food and we chew it. We should be chewing it. The problem comes is that when we're sitting there eating and we've got our phones in front of us, or we're watching something on TV that we don't need to be watching, we are not present and chewing with our food. That then should be triggering. When we're chewing, triggers a signal from our vagus nerve, a nerve that connects to all different organs, to go to our gut and say, hey, we need your proton pumps to release hydrochloric acid. They can't be doing that because we're first not getting those signals. The problem here is that if we don't get that hydrochloric acid, that can neutralize and kill a lot of harmful bacteria in your stomach. This then would trigger a lot of enzymes for further absorption and signals the gallbladder and the pancreas to release bile and other enzymes for fat digestion, which means we can actually use the cholesterol. You know, the cholesterol, the doctors have told you that it's bad, but it's actually needed. Good cholesterol is needed in order to, again, get those building blocks for muscle, for protein, for hormone buildup. So we need to work on that. Food gets digested. Once this all happens, happy days, we can utilize every single thing we're putting in the ideal world. The problem comes is when high levels of stress send the problems with the signals, the mixed signals for the vagus nerve to say slower digestion and weaker output, saying we need more of something, less of something, and so forth. That process then leads to food rot, gas gets produced, the inflamed sphincter just means it's less effective at staying shut, so gas comes up. Why do these actually impact testosterone? Well, as we think about it, we need the building blocks for those hormones. We need the cholesterol, we need the amino acids from proteins, we need minerals to be absorbed. When you're having these lansoprazole medications, these acid reflux medications, they're going to block protein digestion. They're also going to block mineral absorption, things like zinc, which is needed to signal testosterone production. It's also going to block magnesium absorption. Now, with magnesium absorption, that is responsible for over 100 different enzymatic processes within your body, including regulating your hormones and including helping your sleep quality. Now, if you're not getting good sleep, if you are not sleeping for like 7 or 8 hours, in fact, there's a study that shows that if you sleep 6 hours a week for just 2 weeks, you could be lowering your testosterone levels by 10 to 15%. Now, if we think that over 25, you start lowering your testosterone, if you're not doing anything about it, by around 0.4 to 1.4% every single year. So if you are lowering your testosterone by 10 to 15%, that is really lowering or increasing your age or aging yourself by 10 to 15 years in just 2 weeks. I mean, I definitely don't want that. Also, with having this problem with stomach acid and lowering it even more, it can result in other deficiencies like B12 and iron deficiencies, which are going to have a knock-on impact with your energy, with your moods, with your mental health and your physical health. We definitely don't want that. So we need to make sure we can use the protein. We can break it down for good hormone synthesis. And when we're having that medication, it's going to mean that even though we're already inflamed because we're stressed, we're then stopping the building blocks that are going to help lower inflammation elsewhere in the body, which is going to mean more inflammation, which is going to blunt even more testosterone production signaling. Even more so, if your gut is not able to kill the bad bacteria, we are going to start seeing further gut issues down the line. Leaky gut, maybe like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Maybe you also feel like you've got your breath really stinks, and that's another sign of something not good going on down there. So we need to work on it. I'm seeing this multiple times in multiple blood tests with guys all over the world. It is far, far, far too common for my liking. And it's a simple thing which we can do to work on it. Get our body more resilient. We need to address on why we have reflux. Not just taking a medication to stop the symptom when we need to work on the underlying foundation. This is where I work on things from a functional medicine perspective, is that we work on the root cause. If something is happening here, it's usually being signaled from here. And what is the actual underlying issue that we need to work with? So we work on digestion. We work on resilience in the body. We improve your body's ability to communicate through your vagus nerve. And we work on the right supplement protocol. And we work on getting accountable to implement that protocol, implement the food aspect and look at how we are eating out. What are we choosing? What alcohol, what caffeine, and all these aspects that come into play. But it's really not the answer. It's really not the answer. No matter how frustrating we see acid reflux, it is not the answer to have Reni, Gaviscon, or even lansoprazole, omeprazole, and these other acid reflux medication. It is causing a lot more harm than good. And then on a side note, more and more people are coming to me after using Ozempic and Mounjaro, semaglutide, like different weight loss injections. Now, these weight loss injections will slow your gastric emptying time, so you feel fuller for longer. Great, right? You don't think about food and all this sort of thing. But we then get more acid reflux. And acid reflux has been reported to be much higher when you're having these medications. Now, I'm all for supporting people that are doing this. But like, if they're in that place where they are so desperate to lose weight and this is helping them, absolutely go for it, but be aware of the side effects. Not only are you losing weight very, very quickly, you're going to be losing a lot of muscle. There's going to be side effects. We are seeing people's gastric emptying speed staying slow and acid reflux being higher for longer after they've stopped these medications. It sounds good that it's going to have a slow gastric emptying time. Great. But people are then going for the acid reflux medication, which is having the knock-on impact even more so So people that have had low muscle and they're then getting low ability to produce hormones, it's having a worse impact. I don't want to be the bearer of all bad news. You can improve from this. You can start to help yourself and move forward with your health, right? You just have to stop procrastinating and have to start. I know we live in a busy world. Like, the last thing we want to do is take time to improve our health, but we want our health to improve. Not about taking a medication to get that quick fix. It's about building those foundations so you have that solid base.